I used to think I was broken. Like if I spoke softer, drew better, or hid my dreams, my dad would finally love me. But no matter how hard I tried, I was a ghost in my own home. My name is Zaria, and growing up, I was the one nobody saw. My dad, Michael, didn't need to shout to make me feel small. His silence was a blade, sharp and cold. When I was 9, I won my first art contest, a watercolor of the ocean I'd poured my heart into. I ran home clutching the ribbon, sure he'd be proud. "That's cute," he said, eyes on his phone, then turned to my brother Ethan. "Tell me about that touchdown, son." Ethan got a steak dinner for a single goal. I got nothing. I was 11 when it sank in. It was Father's Day, and I'd stayed up late crafting a photo album, gluing memories with sparkly stars, my fingers raw from scissors. I handed it to him after dinner, heart thumping. He flipped a page, mumbled, "Nice," and slid it under a stack of mail. 10 minutes later, my sister Lily tossed him a cheap mug that said, "Best Dad." He laughed, hugged her tight, and said, "You're my star, kid." I stood frozen, album forgotten, wondering what I'd done wrong. Why wasn't I enough? Ethan and Lily were the ones who mattered. Ethan, the soccer king, had trophies lining his room. Lily, the debate queen, had her essays framed on the wall. Me? I was the dreamer, the girl with paint on her jeans, sketching in the corner. My mom, Ellen, tried to fix it. She'd slip into my room, hug me, and whisper, "You're amazing, Zaria." But she never stood up to Dad. Nobody did. In our house, there were rules. Ethan got the last slice of cake. Lily got new books whenever she asked. I once begged for a sketch pad, and Dad snapped, "What's the point? You'll quit like everything else." Those words burned, a scar I carried for years. At dinner, I'd chew quietly while Dad grilled Ethan about practice or Lily about her next speech. If I spoke, I got a nod, maybe a grunt. I learned to shrink, to not steal their light. But something was waking up inside me, not just hurt, but a spark, a quiet rage. I started sketching harder, staying up late, filling notebooks with designs. Not for him, but for me. I wanted to be someone even if he never saw it. I stopped chasing his smile. I swore I'd build a life so big he'd have to notice. One day, he'd know my name, not as the girl he ignored, but as the woman who changed the game. Our house was a stage, and Ethan and Lily were the stars. Holidays looked perfect. Lights twinkling, laughter loud, Dad grinning with a beer. But I was the prop, pushed to the side. Ethan could charm a room with one smirk. He barely cracked a book, but aced tests, and Dad ate it up. They had matching soccer jerseys, a handshake they'd perfected when Ethan was 10. I'd watch from the hallway as Dad slapped his back, saying, "You're a leader, son." Lily was his pride, too. Her debate wins meant parties with balloons and neighbors. When she got a full scholarship, Dad bragged to everyone, his voice booming. "That's my girl." Me? I got a good job once when my poster won a city contest. One sentence, then silence. I worked harder than they knew. I saved lunch money for art supplies, stayed up sketching till my eyes burned, took free online classes. I won quiet awards, got into a design program, but my wins were dust to Dad. At dinners, he'd glow, asking Ethan about his next game, Lily about her college plans. I'd mention my internship at a design firm, and he'd nod, then say, "So, Ethan, how's the team?" It was like I wasn't there. I didn't hate my siblings. They weren't cruel. They just soaked up the love Dad poured on them. He's the one who left me in the dark. I tried everything, helping with chores, staying out of the way, winning bigger. Nothing changed. Sometimes I'd catch Mom's eyes, sad and soft, but she'd look away. I wondered if Dad knew how much he hurt me. Other times, I was sure he did and didn't care. One night, I overheard him on the phone. "Ethan's a champ, Lily's a genius," he said. Then a pause. "Zaria, she's fine, nothing special." My chest tightened, like someone punched me. I went to my room, shut the door, and cried into my pillow. But when the tears dried, something clicked. I was done begging for his pride. I didn't need his light, I'd make my own. I started dreaming bigger, not just art, but a business, something real. I'd show him I wasn't nothing. I'd make him see me, not as his shadow, but as a force he couldn't ignore. That night, I sketched my first logo, a spark of what was coming. I didn't know how, but I knew I'd get there. And when I did, he'd regret every word. I left their world behind, not running away, but stepping out. I moved to a cramped apartment, walls thin, sink dripping, but mine. I started my graphic design agency, Zaria Creates, with a laptop and a dream. It wasn't easy. I took side gigs, flyers for coffee shops, logos for startups, to pay rent. Some nights, dinner was toast and water. I'd cry under my desk, doubting I could do it. "You're nothing special," Dad's voice echoed. But that spark inside roared louder. I kept going. No one cheered me on, no one clapped. That made me fight harder. I learned fast how to pitch to clients, fix bad designs, take no for an answer, and try again. I'd scroll past Ethan's championship posts or Lily's grad photos online, and it hurt like a knife. But I'd shut my phone, breathe deep, and dive back in. My wins were small at first. A bakery loved my menu design, a gym hired me for posters. Then came the big one, a contract for a city festival, designing banners, shirts, everything. My name was on signs downtown, but my family didn't know. I didn't tell them. I hired a team, misfits like me, who'd been counted out. We worked late, laughed hard, built something real. A client once said, "Zaria, you see what we can't." That hit deeper than any nod from Dad. My agency grew. We landed bigger jobs, hotels, nonprofits, even a tech startup. I moved to a better apartment, got a real office with glass walls. I bought a silver car, sleek and fast, a promise to myself. I stood taller, spoke louder, didn't flinch at my reflection. I wasn't chasing Dad's pride anymore. I was building for me, but I kept it quiet. No holiday cards, no family chats. I let them think I was still the girl in the corner, sketching dreams that went nowhere. They didn't know I was planning something bigger. Every late night, every rejection, every win was a brick in my empire. I wasn't just surviving, I was rising, silent but unstoppable. And soon they'd see it. Not because I told them, but because I'd make it impossible to miss. I hadn't been home in 3 years, no calls, no visits, nothing. They didn't reach out, and I was fine with that. But this summer, I decided to go to the family reunion. I typed, "I'll be there," in the group chat. A thumbs up from Ethan, silence from Dad. I smiled. They had no idea what was coming. The night before, I stood in a showroom signing for my silver car under my business name, Zaria Creates. They wouldn't recognize it. They never asked who I was now. In my purse was a black envelope, edges sharp, paper thick. Inside was a contract that would change everything. I dressed for the reunion like armor, simple but strong, every button a reminder of who I'd become. My car purred into the driveway, turning heads. The house was alive, music, laughter, tables piled with food. Dad sat at the head, king of his castle, glass raised. Ethan and Lily shone beside him, soaking up the glow. Dad's eyes caught mine, surprised, then smug. "Zaria," he said, voice loud. "Didn't think you'd show." I smiled. "Wouldn't miss it, Dad." Dinner was the same old play. Ethan bragged about his coaching gig. Lily gushed about her master's degree. Dad nodded, proud, like they were his trophies. I sat quiet, the envelope heavy in my purse, my car glinting outside. Then Dad stood, glass high. "A toast," he boomed. "To my kids. I'm proud of all of them. Ethan, the champ, Lily, the star." He paused, eyes on me, smirk sharp. "Except the loser at the table." He nodded my way. The room exploded. Ethan laughed, spit in his drink. Lily giggled, then froze. Mom's fork clinked, her face pale. I didn't blink. I waited, heart steady. The laughter died, and every eye turned to me. I stood, slow, calm, like I'd rehearsed this moment 1,000 times. "I brought you a gift, Dad," I said, voice clear. I pulled the envelope, walked to him, and set it down. The room went still, like the air forgot to move. "Open it," I said. He tore it open, cocky, expecting a card. His eyes scanned the paper, and his face shifted, confusion, disbelief, Fear. "What the hell is this?" he barked, voice cracking. I leaned in, calm as stone. "You know that tech client your firm chased for years? The one you lost last week?" I paused, letting it sink in. My agency won it. Zaria Creates. I took it. The table gasped. Ethan's fork hit his plate. Lily's hand covered her mouth. Dad's fingers shook, gripping the contract. My logo bold on the page. "And that's not all," I said. "I'm not the loser, Dad. I'm the one who runs the show now." I turned, walked out, heels clicking. Outside, I slid into my car, engine roaring to life. As I pulled away, Dad's shout echoed from the door. Not anger, but panic. That envelope wasn't just a contract. It was my throne. I drove into the night, city lights blurring past. The weight in my chest wasn't hate or revenge. It was freedom. For years, I'd dimmed myself, lived in their shadows, begged for scraps of love. Now, I stood in my own light, brighter than theirs. Back at the house, I could see it. Dad staring at that contract, hands trembling, his world cracking. Ethan and Lily silent, realizing they'd missed me all along. Mom, eyes wet, maybe proud, maybe lost. My phone buzzed, texts, calls, their panic spilling over. I didn't answer. I didn't need their words. I'd taken what I came for, myself. My agency was soaring. That tech contract was just the start. We had hotels, cities, brands lining up. My team, my family now, worked with me, not for me. I had plans. Go national, maybe global. I moved to a loft with city views, my sketches on the walls, my car in the garage. I looked in the mirror and saw someone new. Not the girl Dad called nothing, but a woman who'd built an empire from pain. I didn't need his pride or their love. I had mine, and it was enough. I pictured them at the reunion, still frozen, Dad, replaying his words, knowing he'd pushed me to this. Ethan, quiet, maybe seeing me for the first time. Lily, wondering how she missed it. Mom's voicemail waited on my phone, her voice soft, saying, "Zaria, I'm sorry. I didn't call back. Not yet. Maybe never. The house, their rules, their light, it was theirs. I'd built my own." I closed that door and opened one to my future, wide and bright. When I stood in my office, city sparkling below, I knew I'd won. Not because they saw me, but because I saw myself. And to anyone feeling small, invisible, lost, you don't need their spotlight. Build your own. Shine so bright they can't look away.